So, what if you could actually reprogram your brain to crave the very work you've been avoiding? You know, to make those difficult, boring tasks feel just as compelling as scrolling through your phone? Well, it's not just possible, it's a skill you can learn. And it all starts with one of the most powerful chemicals inside your brain.
Okay, so our story starts in a pretty extreme place. I want you to imagine this: 9 straight days of total silence, 16 hours of meditation every single day. No talking, no reading, no writing, and the food? Oh, it was bland, boring, and completely tasteless. This is the situation our source, Rian Doris, found himself in. And the result of all this extreme boredom was, well, it was completely unexpected. The day after he got out of the retreat, he started this huge, laborious task he'd been putting off for months. But instead of that feeling of dread, something else happened entirely. His attention was just completely sucked in. The task became thrilling, and hours just melted away.
So, how is that even possible? How did a task that was once so mind-numbingly dull suddenly become so deeply rewarding? The answer boils down to a single, really powerful neurochemical that you've probably heard of, but maybe not quite in this context: dopamine. And this brings us right to the heart of the matter, what I'm calling the dopamine dilemma. We really need to understand what dopamine is actually doing and how it drives our focus.
Now, you might think of dopamine as the pleasure molecule, but that's not really the whole picture. It's a lot more accurate to think of it as the motivation molecule. See, it's what makes us want to do things, and it acts like a laser pointer for your brain, telling it what's important enough to pay attention to. And this is exactly why that popular idea of a dopamine detox is kind of a myth. You can't actually detox from a chemical your brain literally needs to function. What you're really doing, and what we want to achieve here, is dopamine resensitization. We're basically retraining our brain's response to it.
So what does that even mean, sensitivity? Well, think of it like this. If you have low sensitivity, your brain needs a massive amount of stimulation. We're talking social media, video games, junk food, all at once, just to feel rewarded and focused. But if you have high sensitivity, something as simple as a good book or a quiet walk can be enough to feel that same level of reward.
You know, a really great way to think about this is as your return on investment, or your ROI on dopamine. How much stimulation do you have to put in to get that feeling of focus and reward back out? The goal is to need less stimulation to get a much, much bigger payoff.
So, just take a second and be honest with yourself. Which one of these sounds more like you right now? Can you get a genuine hit of reward from something simple, like watching a beautiful sunset? Or do you need that triple whammy of scrolling TikTok while eating ice cream just to get the same kick? Now, the good news is you absolutely do not need to go on a 9-day silent retreat to fix this. There are 3 simple, super practical ways you can start resensitizing your brain right now. Okay, so here are the 3 steps. 1, take boring breaks. 2, learn to inhabit the in-between moments. And 3, commit to doing just one thing at a time. Let's break each of these down.
First up, boring breaks. Look, most of us take breaks that are actually more stimulating than our work. You know, scrolling social media, checking the news. That is a huge mistake. Just imagine trying to read a dense report right after an hour of the infinite novelty machine that is TikTok. The report is going to feel impossible. Instead, your breaks should be less stimulating. A short walk, some stretching, or yeah, even just staring at a wall.
This quote just captures the goal perfectly. A truly boring break, like staring at a wall, lets the snow globe of your attention settle. By starving your brain of stimulation for just a few minutes, you actually make it crave the engagement that your work provides when you get back to it. And this leads us perfectly into our second strategy: inhabiting the in-between. Just think about this for a second. The last time you were waiting for a coffee or standing in a line somewhere, what did you do? I'm gonna bet you probably reached for your phone. I mean, these moments are everywhere in our day, right? Waiting for the elevator, commuting to work, sitting alone for just a minute before a friend shows up. We are so conditioned to fill every single empty moment with a quick hit of information from our phones. The solution here is incredibly simple, though I gotta say, it's not always easy. The instruction is just be. Resist that urge. Allow yourself to just stand there or sit there and be present.
This one small act, when you repeat it over and over, lowers your baseline for what feels boring, and it dramatically increases your dopamine sensitivity.
And our third and final strategy is to do one thing at a time. See, when you focus on a single task, you activate what's called the task-positive network in your brain. That's basically your focus mode. This takes over from the default mode network, which is your brain's wandering, distracted, daydreaming state. And the more sensitive you are to dopamine, the faster and easier it is to make that switch. So the crucial thing here is to practice this everywhere. When you're eating, don't watch TV, just eat. When you're having a conversation with someone, put your phone away, just talk. Start treating your life as a series of singular activities instead of a scattered hunt for the next dopamine hit. Now, mastering these small habits isn't just about feeling a little less distracted. It's about unlocking one of the most productive and rewarding states of mind we can possibly experience, the flow state advantage. Taking boring breaks, inhabiting the in-between, single tasking, all of these things are training your brain to enter a flow state more easily. And that's that magical feeling of being so absorbed in something that time just disappears and your performance goes through the roof. It is the absolute peak of focused work. Ultimately, what we're talking about here is gaining a true competitive advantage in pretty much any field. When you can intentionally make your work feel rewarding and engaging, you're no longer fighting against yourself. You've effectively turned your work into a form of play. So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. By retraining your brain's reward system, what if that one task you dread the most, the one you put off day after day, what if that could become the very thing you can't wait to dive into?